friends. Welcome to the Dice Towers Daily Chat. I am your host this evening. I am Crystal Pisano. I know you all are a little bit more used to seeing me on Sunday mornings for my board game brunch stream, but tonight Tom asked if I wanted to host the Daily Chat, and I said, of course I do. And then, better yet, I have one of the coolest guests that the Daily Chat has ever seen. He is an actor, he is a writer, he is a board game reviewer, he is one of the coolest dudes I know, and one of the only people I know from Malaysia. Please welcome Calvin Wong Tze Loon. Did I pronounce that correctly? I don't think I did.
Maybe we should have checked that before. Okay, so it's, I'll just say it for you. It's Calvin Wong Tze Loon, which is, whatever.
Wong Tze Loon.
Hi, everyone. What? Hi, everyone.
And obviously, since Calvin is joining us all the way from Malaysia, the internet connectivity might be a little bit less super great than it typically is, so I apologize if we have any technical issues. I will say, when we were prepping for the stream, Calvin's cat turned off his computer, so that could also happen.
Over here, if you'd like to. Yeah, okay. Cat time. Cat time. It's cat.
Oh, there she is. Oh.
Her name is Kazrak One Eye. She's very cute, but she's currently incapacitated because she kicked a knife. City child.
So, Calvin, thank you so much for joining me this evening. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. As I said to you right before recording started, I'm up at 9 a.m. for the first time in a very long time, which is good actually. I like waking up early. I just can't get it to happen very often. So it's good when it does happen.
So clearly you and I just need to be streaming. That's the most interesting water bottle I think I've seen in a while.
It's glass. It holds the heat. It holds the cold better.
I like it. That's perfect. So, yeah, we'll just Skype every morning so you have an excuse to get up then.
At some point, I'm just going to bail on you. At some point, I'm just going to be like, yeah, no, I'm just...
I mean, honestly, yeah, it's not going to work for me either. I'm usually at work anyway. Well, no, if it was 9 a.m. your time, yeah, that's 6 p.m. for me. So that's easy for me, but... Maybe I'll make you wake me up real early sometime. So those of you who are in the chat, please feel free to drop any questions for Calvin or myself into the chat. Otherwise, we're just going to be talking. So Calvin, why don't you just give everybody a little bit of a bio about yourself, and that could be related to board games or your illustrious movie career or anything else that you want to talk about.
Career there is in quote marks.
I mean... I bragged about the fact that I knew who you were to more people than you would. Like, my mom and sister, I drug them to the movie theater when I went and visited them right after it came out. And they were like, what? Why is this? And I was like, no. And they seriously, they got into it too. And at the end of the movie, they were like, we have to stay for the credits so we can see your friend's name in the credits. And I was like, yes!
Oh my god.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, all right, fine. We'll start with the games. Yeah, all right. So, modern board games I got started in about 2004. Yeah, I want to say it's 2004. That's when I first got my very first board game, which was Kevin Wilson's Doom.
Okay.
That was the game that was going to become Descent. This was, I mean, can you imagine a time before there was a Descent?
Right.
Like that's how like iconic that game is in terms of like dungeon crawlers. But before Descent, there was Doom, and Kevin Wilson made that. I had it as my very first board game that I ever bought. And I also got at around the same time this Rob Davio's Risk 2210 AD. This is back when he was still working for Hasbro. I mean, of course, I had no idea who these people were.
Right.
Right. Like, I just knew that, oh, look, Doom. Oh, look, Risk. And it never would occur to me that in like 15 years' time, I would be good friends with both of them. Like, absolutely ridiculous. I also got like the StarCraft board game that's by Christian Peterson and Corey Koneska, I think. So those continue to be a big fan of whatever FFG is doing at their studio. I'm yeah, and so 2004 is when I got started, but I only really got really active into the hobby in about 2011 ish. I started doing a lot of posting on Reddit. I don't do that anymore. I
There's a
don't
few of
think
us that
you.
don't anymore.
Yeah. Now I'm more active on board game Twitter. In the last 5 years, I started doing a lot of media side stuff. Board game reviews, writing articles, writing news stories, doing a lot of. I worked with this website called Board Game Prices for a very long time, and when they were acquired by Board Game Atlas, I was a staff writer at Board Game Atlas for about 6 months, but that's not really happening anymore. So, but right now I'm trying to transition more into the industry side. I've been doing rulebook editing for a couple of years. Cultural consultation for a couple of games, and what was that other thing? Yeah, and
You're
now I want to
writing as
write.
well for some games, I
Yeah,
believe.
yes, yeah. I'm writing for some games, including a highly top secret writing project, which I think you may have seen me squee on Twitter about at least once or twice or 3 times. Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
I don't
You
know.
drop tiny hints about things occasionally without giving anything away, and I love to just speculate about what.
I I wish I could. I wish I could tell everyone because this is such a big deal for like me personally because like the people I'm working for now, you've definitely heard of them and you definitely know the game that I'm working on, and I can't tell anyone, and it's ridiculous.
Well, I am very excited to hear about whatever it is at some point in the future. And I know, yeah, you talked about your board game media. I know you've contributed pretty significantly to the Ding and Dent podcast, which I've spoken about in the past as one of my favorites. Charlie and Raph are wonderful. You've also contributed to the Five by podcast, which is another one that I love.
Yeah, I have. I want to do more games reviewing because I have a fairly significant review queue. My issue is that I'm the kind of person who, if I can't I can't just write like a normal board game review, I will never be happy if I do that. Like I either have to say something significant about the game or something significant about the, like, why I think the game is special. And I think this is actually a problem. Like I don't think this is a good thing. But some part of me does not want to accept just being able to write like a normal board game review. Like it has to be a limerick, or it has to be like, rewrite of a song lyric, or it has to do something, Otherwise I'm like, why am I doing it? But at the same time, maybe I should just tamp down on that and just be more like, Calvin, these nice people have given you the board game, write the dang review.
I mean, it's I think it's tough for a lot of board game content creators because while there are people out there who just want to hear your opinion on the game, there are a lot of people reviewing board games, and so wanting to provide something different or unique is probably a good thing too.
Yeah, it is, but also at the same time, like, okay, if I sat down today, and today's Monday, right? Like, if I sat down today and just said, okay, I'm just going to finish out all of my board game review queue, I could probably do it by the end of the week, But the issue is that then all the reviews would be just boilerplate. Here's 500 words about what I think about each game. Some of them will be like, out of the 500 words, maybe 50 of them will be really good, and the other 450 will be just standard nonsense. So, I could do it. I'm not sure what that would do besides get my review queue out of the way, which has value.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah.
I mean, if there's one thing that I had to guess about you, it's that you like to make a lot of the things you work with and put out special in some way, and I think that that's what makes you a pretty cool content creator.
Yeah. It's not just special. I think I think I want it to be valuable to the people as well, right? Like, this is not an ego thing. I want to clarify. Okay, maybe it is partly an ego thing, but the reason I want to do it is because I want the review to stand out, because the games that I review are good. They're very good, and otherwise I wouldn't be reviewing them. And so, like, the most recent example was like I I did a standard review of a game called They Come Unseen, which is it's a 2 to 5 player game about being NATO submarine captains versus like Soviet destroyers who are trying to hunt them down in the Bering Sea, right? Like in the northern hemisphere near the Arctic Circle. And I'm like, that's a great idea for a game. It's an older game too, something like 4 or 5 years back, so it's not like something new and great with the new hardness. But it's a very good game. So I wrote a standard review on it, but I really focused on making people understand how the game is played and how it feels. And the designer was very happy with it, and the publisher was very happy with it. And I was very happy that I put it out because it had been in my review queue for like 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Something ridiculous like that. But I put it out because I finally got to play it. But it was like but what was I trying to say with this? I completely lost my train of thought. Yeah, I put it out and I was happy with it because it was of value to people, right? Like it was an older title that was still being sold and it showed people something like, here's a 2 to 5 day game that is really good and it would be great for you. And it was of value, I think, because nobody else was really talking about that game, Whereas if I were to review something that came out today, like Forgotten Waters or something, and say, no, I haven't played that. If I were to review Forgotten Waters right now, what would I be able to say that the other 50 or 60 people reviewing the game wouldn't already have said? You know, like I don't add any value to anyone reading the review other than, oh, here's what Calvin thinks. And I personally, relate to Calvin and I like his stuff and I like his opinion, so that's a useful review. But I could do that with a Twitter post. Why am I gonna? I don't think it adds any value to the publisher, the designer, that kind of thing. Whereas another review that I did was of this game called Vast Crystal Caverns.
Oh yeah.
You played that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
I have to play as the cave, though, when I play, because it's the Crystal Cavern, so,
Yeah. I do like the cave, though. The cave is my favorite to play, apart from the knight, because she's just so badass. So, okay, for those of you who don't know, the Crystal Caverns is a game where you can play as, like, the knight who's going into the cave to get the treasure. You can play as the goblins who are trying to, like, attack and kill the knight. You can play as the dragon who's trying to wake up and fly away and burn everything, and you can play as the cave who can collapse and kill everyone. It's really, really cool thing. But my review of that was a series of limericks, which I posted on Twitter, and I just thought one day, because I'd been trying to review this game for years, right, and it was stressing me out so badly, and my standard review, I'd gotten like a paragraph and a half into it, and I was so frustrated. And then just a few months ago, I was just like staring at this silly review that was in my document, and I was like, I don't know how it happened. I just started writing a limerick.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and it got a huge response. It's probably my most popular review of all time, and but the publisher loved it, the designer loved it. So yeah, that's what I want. I want to point out great games in a way that people pay attention to. You mentioned I do this 5x podcast, right? And the 5x podcast is like 5-minute reviews. It's an audio format, so you get 5 minutes of audio to review a game. Sometimes you can get like 5.5 if it's like if Mike, who's editing the podcast, is feeling generous. But you generally have 5 minutes, right? And like 2 years ago, as a joke, I said to Mike, hey, 5-minute review of Twilight Imperium 4th edition. You want one? And he's like, yeah, if you submit one. He didn't actually expect that I was going to be able to. Yeah, so I did a 5-minute review of Twilight Imperium. And I'm still really proud of it because I think a lot of people are like, you can't do that. You can't review Twilight Imperium in 5 minutes. There's no way. And I'm like, yeah, I can.
Well,
did. It was great.
someone in the chat a little while ago asked what your favorite game is, and if I had to guess, Twilight Imperium would have been what I would have said, but I'm not 100% certain on that.
It had flip flopped. Like a few years ago, it was Twilight Imperium, but it's changed now to
Netrunner?
Netrunner. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hey, look, I do pay attention.
I don't know what your favorite game is, so I feel embarrassed now.
No,
Anyway,
for me, it's Battlestar Galactica.
oh yeah, okay, yeah. I had that. I managed to get back my box of that with all the expansions. So I'm very happy that. Yeah.
Nice.
Who's your favorite character to play as in Galactica, and
That's
why
a
is
good-
it Helena? And why is it Helena Kane?
No, I cannot be Admiral Kane. She drives me bananas. What's funny is I actually like having the role of president the most, but I hate Laura Roslin's I don't remember her flaw, the bad thing that she has to discard more cards to travel between ships. So if I play as Laura Roslin, I end up on Colonial 1 for the whole game, and that's not that interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if
I think it's funny if like the image of Laura Roslin like sitting in the gun batteries shooting at Cylons.
I mean, that's more amusing for sure. And it's funny because I've always been like, is it still BSG? I don't play it often enough, but every time I play BSG, I love it even more than the previous time I've played it.
Yeah.
So let's go to the chat and see if we've got some questions from people, if that's okay.
Yeah, it's great. I saw a question earlier from Amanda asking, have I gotten any acting since Crazy Rich Asians, which we haven't talked about yet. We'll get to that, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. Actually, no, that's not true. I did. I starred in a local film called KL Gangster Underground. KL stands for Kuala Lumpur. It's the city that I live in. And yeah, so I have gotten some acting as a result of Crazy Rich Asians, and it was fun to do. It was this cool little indie film. I guess it's indie in the context of a wider release, but in Malaysia, KL Gangster is kind of like a huge franchise.
Okay. Yeah. So
I played a very bad gangster. I died. Spoiler alert. They murderized me.
Oh my gosh. So I'm going to ask you a question that you obviously do not have to answer at all if you are not able to. I do know that they are actively working on or going to be working on the sequel to Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah, it's in the works, but I don't know anything about it.
Okay, well, I wasn't going to ask. Well, I'm hoping that you're going to be involved in that project at some point.
Yeah, recently with the lockdown stuff, there was the director John Shu had a rewatch of Crazy Rich Asians, like a live rewatch on Twitter, and he invited all of us who could join him, us being the people who worked on the film, into a Zoom call so he could talk to us and talk about the film and tweet about it. And of course we asked him, because he's the one who would know the most among us. I mean, how's the sequel coming along? It's like, it's coming along. We really want to do it. We really want all of you to be back in whatever capacity that we can. And that would be great. I would love to do a second, obviously, because I mean, we had absolutely no idea that the film was going to explode the way that it was. Because, I mean, for those of you who've seen it, Crazy Rich Asians, who haven't seen it, sorry, Crazy Rich Asians is about very, very, very rich people. And so it looks like, a really high budget film because of all the, the clothes and the helicopters and the container ships and all that. But it was actually like a fairly low budget movie. 30 million sounds like a lot of money, but not in the context of like a Hollywood production where they can spend like 100, 200 million on like all the special effects and the stars and stuff. So it's like a fairly low commitment thing from Warner Brothers, but they had absolutely no idea that it was going to blow up the way that it did. Like I was at the launch party, and I spoke to the producer Nelson, and Nelson was like, "Oh my God, Calvin, take my wildest dreams numbers and triple it. Like that's how good we're doing." And I was, yeah.
That's amazing.
No one expected the film to break out the way that it did, but since it has, it's great because I feel like, as for Asian Americans and Southeast Asians, I guess a little bit more so, but Southeast Asian, it's not a Southeast Asian movie, basically, even though it's set in Singapore. It's basically an Asian American film made by Asian Americans for Asian Americans. And I'm really happy that you guys are getting that kind of rep. So, yay!
I mean,
What was I gonna-
I love to see movies where the people don't all look exactly like me, and especially like I would classify Crazy Rich Asians as a modern romantic comedy, but
It's my favorite romantic comedy, and I thought for a long time I didn't like that genre. It just turns out most of the films in that genre were not very good.
I've told people, I'm like, it is a romantic comedy, but it is not what you think a romantic comedy is. It's not, it's not cheesy or unrealistic. Like, everything in that movie feels so genuine. And even with me not having a background in those cultures, they made it approachable and understandable, which I think is why it resonates with so many people.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of the things that I like about it. And this is why I'm so baffled about Warner Brothers' decision with Adele. Okay, I'll get into that in a bit. Adele is the screenwriter of the film. She co-wrote it with a guy named Peter. Last name I can't remember. But the reason that the film has done so well, I think, is because she and Peter crafted the story based on the book, which I think is really, really smart the way they adapted it. Like, not to spoil the ending, but the ring, hello? Like, what a perfect way to cap off that whole sequence, right? To resolve that entire drama. And it's so smart, and it's so snappy, and it's so authentic, and just generally the whole film is like that, which is why I don't understand why Warner Brothers, actually the single biggest delay, you know about this, right? Like Adele is not working on the second film because they wanted to pay her like
less
10% of what the other guy was making.
Yeah.
Like they have you have two screenwriters, you pay one of them $1 million and you pay the other one $100,000. That's not right. And I support her decision to walk off the film.
Very much
heavily.
so.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah. Warner Brothers, if you're watching, what are you thinking, my guys? Come on.
Yeah, Warner Brothers. Come on. She's very talented and deserves to get the same amount of pay as the other screenwriter. I agree 100% with that. Earlier, someone asked where the birds were. Are those pet birds, or are those just outside birds?
Oh no, they're outside birds. I'm recording in my living room, and my living room has big windows that let the sun in, which is good because I haven't seen the sun in a significant amount of time.
Well, and honestly, it's lovely.
And just outside behind my house, there's a small park, like a community park, and so the birds are coming from there. And there's a cat as well. The cat lives on my roof, and the cat has kittens, and she sounds almost exactly like Kazrak. So I've woken up just a few days ago, like I heard plaintive meowing, and I woke up like in a panic, like, Kazrak, are you okay? But it was outside cat.
Oh.
Outside cat. Yeah.
Outside cat. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm gonna grab another question from the chat. Kabuki Kid asked, do you have any current Grail games that you are seeking? So games that you don't own that you would really like to.
No, not really. I feel like if I wanted it, I would get it. I would just get it.
Okay.
Star Wars Rebellion.
Oh.
Star Wars Rebellion. Because I really like that. I really like those. I mean, what's not to love about it? Like, you look at it and you just go like, ooh, you know. But the reason that I don't have it is not that I can't get it, because it's in print and it's very popular. It's just that how many multi-hour space games does Calvin need? Especially one that only supports 2 or 4 players.
What's funny is I had that same opinion about it. I was really interested in it, but I was like, I don't think I need to own it. And then a couple of years ago, a board game cafe near me was closing, and I had a membership with them. And so they allowed me to take games home as kind of like, sorry, we're closing and you can't use the rest of your membership. I've owned it for like 2 years and I've still never played it because nobody in my game group likes Star Wars.
Yeah, that's my problem really. It's not the Star Wars thing. It's just that if I got it, I know what would happen. It would sit there, and I would be sad.
And that's exactly what's happening with me. It is sitting there, and I am sad. So.
Yeah, because I have Twilight Imperium, which is so good, especially the new edition. It's just so much faster and it's so much snappier. Have you played Twilight Imperium? I assume that you have.
I've played Twilight Imperium only 4th edition, and I've played that twice.
Do you like it? You're allowed to say no. It's fine.
I honestly don't dislike it, but I think it was one of those situations where it had been hyped up a lot over the years, and I didn't dislike it, but I had, one of my experiences was bad for reasons that were unrelated to the game, and I spoke about that in an episode of Blitz, I think, a way long time ago. And then the other experience was wonderful. I actually played at Dice Tower Con with somebody who had donated to the Jack Vassal Memorial Fund, and Ambi and Toby and Sam and Roy. Like, the experience was great, and I still didn't fall in love with the game. So basically, as a result of that happening, I was like, okay, this is not the Space 4X game for me then. And that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. There's a lot going on in it. But what I enjoy is that even though there's a lot going on in it, I feel like the design has been boiled down to just its core elements, and it's actually a really easy game to learn and pick up and play. So you'd assume like for something of that complexity level, it's we're gonna learn it. We're gonna be learning it for an hour. Oh, we're gonna be playing it for 12 hours. And I'm like, no, if that's happening, you guys are doing it wrong.
That's what's interesting to me is even after 4th edition came out, when people would speak about it in like podcasts or other forms of media, they were still referring to an 8 or 9 hour game time. And I was like, I've played this game twice with different groups of people, and 4th edition is more like a 5 to 6 hour game. It's not 9 hours.
With 5 to 6 players, right? Like, because it's an hour per player, basically.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true. How many did we play with? It was Ambi, Toby, Roy, Sam, me, the person who backed on the Jack Vassal. Yeah, I think it must have been a 6-player game.
Yeah.
How many players can you play with max?
6.
Oh, 6? Okay.
3 to 6, yeah. Yeah, it's a 3 to 6 player game. And I also have Forbidden Stars, which is the other FFG like cake box big Warhammer 40k space area control 4X game, and I played that like twice. It's funny you were saying like unrelated to the game, the conditions you were playing with. Sorry, the tongue just froze.
You're fine.
But you said for one of your games of Twilight Imperium that your experience was bad for reasons unrelated to the game, right? And that was exactly what happened the last time I tried to play Forbidden Stars. Like, the person that I was playing with, one of the people that I was playing with, was on her phone playing Pokemon Go the entire time.
Wow.
And I wouldn't mind this. Like, it's fine that if you can just do your turn, then play Pokemon Go on your phone, then do your turn, then play Pokemon Go on your phone. That's fine, right? The issue was that she would play Pokemon, it would be her turn and be like, how do I move?
Oh no.
Like, she got up and left the table to go downstairs and catch some Pokemon in the middle of the dang game.
Yeesh.
I'm like,
yeah, no, that's not okay. And I'm one of those people that is admittedly pretty addicted to my phone, and and especially like as a board game content creator, when I'm playing board games, I'm always kind of thinking like, I should take a picture of this, or I should tweet about it. So I've told my friends and my game group people, I'm like, just yell at me if I'm being too distant. Like, I'm gonna have my phone out, that's gonna happen, but like, I don't want to be rude, so holler at me.
But there's some games you really have to watch who you play with. I kind of disagree. I think all games you really have to watch who you play with. This is part of the reason like I get very anxious about playing with strangers at like conventions and stuff. I say conventions, I mean Essen, because Essen's the only convention I've ever been to. I just like even when doing like demos of stuff, like you just sit down and you play. Like I get really nervous. Like what if this person is terrible? I don't like them, and I have to get up and leave. And I don't like being in that situation.
I agree.
Yeah. Anyone backing them is lockdown, says Jeremy in the chat. I didn't even know about that until like a few hours ago when I saw someone post about it on Twitter. But I might. I don't know. Like the thing is, every time a game has space in it, I'm just so tempted to just grab it. But I know that if I do that, my collection will literally double in size. So I can't. I'm not allowed.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see here. So Nick Wagner asks, Calvin, do you have good game groups where you live, and how often do you get to play board games? Obviously, I would say this is in non-pandemic times.
Yeah, I have housemates. And the thing is, like, even with the housemates, like, we haven't played any board games since the lockdown happened. I think it's because it's full right now, guys. I mean, like, things are difficult and different right now.
It takes a lot of mental energy to play board games, and I think a lot of our mental energy, and by our, I mean the collective world, is being spent on some stress and anxiety related things. I know for me personally, I've been playing less board games, and obviously not having people to play with is part of that, but I miss my friends. I miss playing board games with the people, but I don't necessarily mentally need the board games right now, which is interesting, and it's not what I would have expected to happen.
I find myself reaching more for video games at the moment because I think it's just like that ability to just say, yeah, I'm just going to play for 15 minutes is valuable, rather than, we're going to have to sit down for, 30 or 60 or 90 minutes or however long this podcast takes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was talking, or I will be talking in the next episode of Blitz about, we actually are doing an episode about video games because both Ambi and I have not been playing a lot of board games, and I'm excited because this coming Friday, a game that I've been looking forward to for a long time is releasing on the Switch, the Outer Worlds, the spiritual successor to Fallout. I'm really excited because it's been out on PC,
my housemate played that for like 100 hours, so...
I'm very much looking forward to it because the people who made it made the best Fallout games. So
yeah. I'm very happy to hear that it's coming out for Switch and you can play it.
Yes.
Sorry, what were we talking about? And I just think that I don't have the energy right now to learn rules. I just want the computer to teach me the rules.
That is kind of one of the nice things about online board game platforms that help enforce the rules for you, is you can, to some degree, you can kind of jump into a game you don't know and learn on the fly a little more easily.
Yeah, exactly. Like just the thought of cracking a rule book right now just makes me wanna just go sit down somewhere and just play a video. Someone asked, have you played any Space 4X video games? Yes, of course I've played Space 4X video games. My issue with most Space 4X video games, and this is games like, Galactic Civilizations or Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. My issue with all of those games is that I don't want to run an empire that spans the entire galaxy. I just want like 10 planets. Once it gets beyond like 10 planets in one fleet, it starts to get really overwhelming for me, and I don't like it anymore. Like I would play the heck out of even basic Civilization, right? Civilization, the first 100, 200 turns are the best. They are the best. And then after that, when your empire is like 30 screens wide and you're just like, oh, that city, I can't remember when I got this city. Yeah. I don't like that anymore. And that's part of the reason why I like the board game ones, because by necessity, the board game ones can't be that huge. right? Like they have to fit on the table for one thing. So the scale of it really fits me because I like to have that emotional connection with everything that happens in the game, right? With those computer games, so they can simulate hundreds of things going on, each individual thing becomes less special. Whereas in Twilight Imperium, if I take over one planet, that's a big deal. That's huge.
That's really true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I love that the chat is talking about birds.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. They can talk about birds. Someone asked, what is your happiest gaming memory? And they asked it to both of us. I want to hear yours.
My happiest gaming memory. I don't know if I know that off the top of my head, actually.
You want to take some time and think about it while I give my answer?
Yes, if you have an answer, you should go right ahead.
I'll boil it down real short. I've been eyeing up Netrunner ever since it came out, but I was like, oh, it's a lifestyle game. It's gonna cost so much. This is back in 2012 when the game first came out, right? And then Dee was like, surprise, anniversary present. I was like, I'm going to cry. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
First time since I was a kid, I couldn't go to sleep because I was so excited. This Netrunner was like sitting there and I just hadn't played it. I couldn't go to bed. It's just dying.
I think because it's the happiest memory, that's hard for me to nail down because I think my happiest memories have been meeting and getting to play games with people that are also in board games. Like when I get to meet people that I know through Twitter or Reddit or Board Game Geek, like, getting to meet Ambi and Cassidy for the first time in person after we've been podcasting together for a year, like that was beyond delightful. But like there have been lots of moments with games too. Like the first time I played Runebound 2nd edition back in 2007.
Oh, isn't that one of your favorites?
It is, and it still is to this day, and not enough people play Runebound, and also Fantasy Flight has not supported that game as much as they should, and I want more maps. I know Fantasy Flight, you're out there somewhere. Give me more maps for Runebound 3rd edition, please. But yeah, the first time...
When I finally get hired to work at Fantasy Flight, I will yell at them.
You should definitely 100% do that. Because yeah, I love that game and not enough people... I think people get scared away by the token combat system, and I get it. It seems very weird before you use it. And then once you do it, you're like, oh wow, this is brilliant. So, but yeah, the first time I played that game... it was my coworker in Kansas City. We all worked nights at a casino in Kansas City. This was right after I graduated from college, and I could not get a real job anywhere as a writer. So we would go over to his house on our night off, and since we all worked overnights, we would go to his house at like 9 or 10 p.m., and then we'd play board games until like 5 or 6 in the morning, and then we'd go to Waffle House and get breakfast. And yeah, and when we played Runebound for the first time and it took 5 hours or whatever, I just my mind was blown because I had never played a board game that was that epic before.
This guy, Zod, asked, how do you deal with alpha gamers, those outside the game who want to play every single turn of yours? Don't play with them. That's my answer.
I mean, that's a good answer. I think I sometimes... Instead of me trying to take the power away from an alpha gamer, I try to divert the power to someone else at the table. So, if an alpha gamer is trying to make all the decisions, I'll be like, hey, Christy, what do you think? What do you think we should do? Kind of because you can't get mad about asking someone else their opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't.
The thing about alpha gaming is more it's about, I think they care a lot about things which are not inside the game. Do you know what I'm saying? Either they care too much about winning, or they care too much about appearing smart, or they care about, or maybe they just, they just don't realize that they're doing it. It's possible, right? Someone is just being, they really want the group to succeed, and they don't realize that they're trampling on other people's toes. And I think then, because I would rather lose the game and have fun than win a game and make everyone miserable. That's just personally. No,
agreed 100%. Yes, winning can be fun, but winning can also be very not fun.
Yeah, for sure. I know, because I play a lot of Netrunner, that I can be the kind of person who does things like Okay, how many cards do I have left in my deck? 25. So if I draw one card, that's a 4% chance of me actually getting the card I want. Multiply by how many actions I have this turn versus how many credits I have. Like, it's exhausting. So the thing is, I know that I can, but I never let myself actually do it unless I'm playing.
It looks like I may have lost Calvin. Calvin, I don't know if you can hear me, but your Skype has dropped out. Apologies, friends. Skyping with somebody who is in Malaysia, pretty far away, does come with its some technical difficulties. So apologies for that. I assume I'm frozen on his end as well. We will let Skype try and catch up. Hopefully that will happen. Sorry, friends. I wanted to have Calvin on the show because I think a lot of the people that I interact with here on the Dice Tower. Ooh, and we might have him back now. Hello.
I'm back.
Yeah. Yay! Sorry, Skype
Hi.
is being awful as usual.
Sorry, what was I saying when I cut off?
That's a really good question. I was vamping and I've fully forgotten now.
Oh, it's fine. Someone's asking in the chat, video game I'm playing the most right now. Slay the Spire. I'm playing a lot of Slay the Spire.
A lot of people have been playing that one.
Anyone listening to this, if you like board games, and the reason you like board games is, I have a turn, I have options, I'm going to play my cards and I'm going to do my thing, and then I'm going to build my engine and get better and better as the game goes on. You're going to love Slay the Spire. And the best thing about Slay the Spire is you can play it for 10 minutes and put it down. Or you can play one fight and put it down, and then you come back to it. Or you can just play the whole, you can finish a run of Slay the Spire, which takes like 30 minutes to an hour maximum. And yeah. So it's a card game about going up a tower, right? You slay the spire, and every time you do it, like the layout of the tower is slightly different. There's like a list of bosses you can fight, but it's a card game basically. So you have cards in your hand, you add cards to your deck. You can get items, you can get gold, you can go to shops and buy stuff. It's very board gamey. Anyone listening to this, you will love Slay the Spire. What's my favorite video game of all time? Mass Effect.
Ooh, yeah, nice.
I'm hoping that the remaster will be interesting because I love Mass Effect, but I've only played through all of it once, and I don't feel the need to play it again. Our gaming cafe is popular in Malaysia. Yes, very much so, although I don't know how kind the pandemic will be to them, and I really hope that they survive.
Yeah, I've been trying to help some local businesses like restaurants and whatnot here that I want to help get through the pandemic, which is tough because even the ones that are offering, takeout or curbside stuff, since I'm in a high-risk population, I'm trying to avoid going out as much as possible. So even the curbside stuff, I'm still, I can wear a mask and all that, but it's tough right now.
Yeah. What about you? Like, what video game are you playing?
Well, as
Animal Crossing?
Yeah, I was going to say, as your partner knows, Animal Crossing has been the majority of my video gaming during the pandemic. It came out the weekend that I started fully quarantining, that I was able to start working from home and everything else. So, it's been honestly kind of a godsend for me. Like, Animal Crossing has helped me distract myself from some of the stress and anxiety that I've been feeling as a result of the pandemic, and so that's great. I also have been obsessed with What the Golf on the Switch over the past couple weeks. It is delightful. I love it so much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. My housemate just said that the construction noises that you could hear are going to keep going, and there's nothing you can do about it.
And you know what? That's okay. We're fine. I think, honestly, the chat is just lovely here on the Dice Tower, generally, at least on my streams. And I would like to take credit for that, but it's all them. They're just wonderful, so...
I love different cultures' foods. What are good king foods to have while playing in Malaysia? Malaysian food is mostly like um, not board game safe.
Is there a particular Malaysian dish that you would recommend to people who haven't had Malaysian food before?
The national dish is nasi lemak, basically, which is um, it. Okay, I'm gonna list the ingredients, and you're gonna have a completely different conception of what it tastes like. It's rice with coconut milk and anchovy paste chili, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. You think, oh, so it's gonna be fishy and coconutty, and it is not. It is, yeah.
Coconut milk is more creamy than coconutty.
Yeah, it is. It is. I have a friend who came here, and he asked us to take him to, go eat foods, and he said he doesn't like coconut. He doesn't like the taste of coconut, and I said, okay, nasi lemak. And he's like, oh, there's coconut in this? And I'm like, yes, but trust me.
A lot of people say they don't like coconut, but there are lots of things that use coconut that don't taste like coconut.
Yeah, nasi lemak is one of those things.
Wonderful. Well, I'm going to keep an eye out for that. There has to be a Malaysian restaurant here in Vegas. That's one of the nice things about living in a city that's this large, is I can get just about any kind of food that I want, and I'm kind of spoiled in that regard.
Yeah, Kuala Lumpur is the same. Like, it's just got any kind of restaurant you can name, really. Question for Calvin: would you please narrate my life? Yes, I will narrate your life happily. And now Meeple Overboard goes to the fridge. And they are opening the fridge. And what are they going for? Is it, it's the raisins.
See, this is perfect. We can actually fold, so Meeple Overboard is Chris and Wendy Yee, but Chris is the one likely behind the screen name. And they live here in Las Vegas as well. So when I Skype you for our morning wake-up call, I'll just bring Chris over, once it's safe to do so. And then we'll it can all be one thing.
Is there a video game you love coming back to time and time again? I'm assuming that the answer is not Slay the Spire. XCOM, really, I guess. Because XCOM is another one of my favorite games. And it's, again, another game that board gamers would really love, because you have to figure out what you want to do on your turn. So XCOM is like an alien invasion game, but you play soldiers, and your soldiers are like trying to fight off the aliens. And it's very board gamey as well, because here are your soldiers, here are their abilities. Here's your 38% chance to hit with this soldier, but this other soldier, if you move them up to a better position, they're in danger. But they'll have 100% chance to hit the alien. And how do you deal with the fact that they're going to be in danger on the enemy's turn? It's a very board gaming game. I love it. I love XCOM.
And there is an XCOM board game, which I've never played, but have you played the board game?
Yes, my copy is signed by Eric Lang.
That's pretty awesome.
I want to show you guys. Hang on.
Okay. I'm excited to see this. Chat, are you having fun tonight? Are you having a good evening? Did you have a good weekend? I want to hear. Also, if you all are enjoying the stream, hit the thumbs up button below the video.
Sorry, what?
Sorry, I was telling the chat to hit the thumbs up button below the video if they're enjoying the stream this evening.
So for those of you who don't know, Eric Lang lives in Singapore, which is near Malaysia. And he messaged me sort of out of the blue sometime last year, and he said, Calvin, we're coming to KL, we being him and his wife. We're coming to KL, would you mind showing us some food? And I'm like, yes, hell yes. Anyway, so he came to my house, and he signed my copy of XCOM. Yeah.
Because not all games need to be fun. That is great. So earlier when you had dropped out, your Skype was having some connectivity issues. I had started talking about why I chose you to ask to be a guest on this show with me. And someone in the chat has asked me to finish that statement. Okay, so maybe we're cursed. I'm going to try and finish that statement now that he has dropped out again. So I think that a lot of the members of the Dice Tower, myself included, live in America, and we come at games from a very particular point of view. A lot of us look very similar, and I think that there is a large benefit to speaking with people in other countries and other cultures about their experience and thoughts about board games, because board games are not an American thing, they are an everyone thing, and I think there are a lot of people in America who do not realize the cultural significance of board games in other cultures. So that is, and honestly, Calvin is just one of my favorite humans. He and I have been interacting on Twitter now for years. I've never gotten to meet him in person, but I am very much...
We will karaoke until our lungs fall out.
Oh my goodness. You and I, we'll close whatever place we go to. We did karaoke last night over on the Board Game Blitz Twitch channel, and it was a lot of fun.
My God. Oh, maybe we should do that. Maybe you should have me on and we could do karaoke on, like, Board Game Blitz.
Yes, please.
Let's do that. Yes,
so
okay.
This is not an official announcement because I haven't talked to Tom about it yet, but I am planning on trying to do karaoke as one of my contributions to one of the upcoming online conventions. So either the collaboration between Dice Tower Con and BGG Con that's happening, or the Summer Spectacular that is replacing what Dice Tower East would have been. I'm going to talk to Tom about trying to host a karaoke night, and so if you wanted to come on and be a special guest with me, that would be amazing.
Yeah, awesome. Let's do that.
Yay, that makes me super happy. All right, chat, we've got about 10 minutes left, so if you have more questions for myself or for Calvin, make sure to get them into the chat as quickly as possible so we can answer them for you.
Someone said original XCOM or the newer version. Yeah, sorry, XCOM 2. I've also been really enjoying Chimera Squad. Okay, I want to recommend Chimera Squad here because it's a new XCOM game. It's very cheap. It's 10-minute missions. It's really the selling point. Some of them can be a bit longer. Some of them can take up to 20 minutes, half an hour. But the thing that I've been doing with Chimera Squad, which has been really good, I think, is that unlike previous XCOM games where you can switch between all your soldiers, in this one it's much more board game-like in that each soldier has a specific turn and they can only take actions on that turn. So what I've been doing is that I've been playing that cooperatively with a bunch of my friends on voice chat. So all four of us will get together. Each one of us has a specific personality in the squad that we're controlling, and when it's their turn, they just say, okay, I want to do this and do that. So if we're playing on my computer, everyone's joining via video chat, and we're all playing Chimera Squad together. Oh, dogs.
Yeah, I put the puppies on for a minute because they came into my office.
Yeah. Favorite game mechanics or genres? Okay, favorite game mechanic is that thing in Twilight Imperium or games of that nature where everyone has a special power and a special ability, and they can let yourself express yourself through that ability. And that's one of the reasons Twilight Imperium and Netrunner are my favorite games, because you can play as a person or a faction or a character, and you can really express yourself through that, right?
Yeah.
That's my favorite mechanic. And my favorite genre is area control, really. Like, I take this location, I have to hold it for a specific duration of time, and I get points or whatever. Yeah, I love that.
I think that might be one of the reasons why Twilight Imperium doesn't strike me as much, because area control isn't one of my favorite aspects of games. I have enjoyed some games that involve area control, but I guess, I don't know, the idea of taking something from someone else and having to hold something from other people both stress me out in a way that I tend to not always enjoy.
Yeah. I think a lot of, especially with Twilight Imperium, where you have to hold territory, and sometimes players will I don't want to do that. I don't want to attack. And you're like, well, I'm sorry, but you have to do the attack, and it's not for everyone, and I get that.
Yeah. Do you have any game projects that you've worked on or are working on that you are able to talk about, or is everything pretty much hush-hush right now?
Am I able to talk now? I guess I could plug the game. Yeah, because someone asked here, like, do I like pencil and paper role-playing games? The answer is yes, but the most of them I've been very intimidated by. Because they're, the rule books are huge and they take hours and hours and take like a million years to play because you get the sessions or like, you have to like, oh, we need a session every week for the next 6 months or whatever. But what I did do as part of this pandemic is I designed not a board game, a role-playing game. I designed a role-playing game, and I've put the link in the chat to where you can find it and play it. It's free.
I don't think your message won't show up in the chat because YouTube won't let non-moderators drop links.
Oh, you dropped the link then.
Yes, if you can send it to me in Skype, I will put it in the chat.
Okay. Let me chat. Open conversation. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so it's called Marine Squad, and it's about being XCOM or Doom Marines or Halo Marines, science fiction, or the Marines from Aliens, right? Basically, and you can be any kind of Marine squad you like. You play cooperatively with your friends. There's like 4 or 5 pages of rules. Yeah,
that's really neat. I don't know how I had missed that. I feel like I see most of your tweets. But
it's impossible to keep up with everything.
That's very true, and it's funny because I've thought about pruning my Twitter or the people I follow on Twitter so I can follow people more actively. But there are so many wonderful people, especially on board game Twitter and Star Trek Twitter, that I don't want to unfollow people. Like, I have great conversations, and honestly, like, the board game community on Twitter, for the most part, is just so lovely and wonderful to interact with.
Yeah. Most part, yes, I agree. And the thing is that I haven't found a good way to keep tabs on all the people that I really love to follow. Like there is a notification button where you can see everything that someone tweets, but I don't want to turn that on for like everyone. I've turned it on for like 2 or 3 people.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. That button, there needs to be some kind of a happy medium. Like, oh, here's a tweet they posted that's getting a lot of interaction or something.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, I've made the mistake of turning that on for people who are like me and tweet a lot, and it's a mistake. Don't turn on notifications for somebody like me.
I've turned it on for like my girlfriend and a couple of my close buddies, but no, you can't have it. You can't have it for too many people. It's
for
ridiculous.
Sure. Well, Kelvin, what's the next thing that we're likely to see from you here?
The super secret unannounced project.
Okay.
Whenever that comes out, and it'll come out hopefully quite soon, as in within the next couple of months, then I will be You'll
be shouting about it when you can.
Yes, I will be shouting about it because it is by far the most exciting thing that's ever happened to me in my board games writing career.
That's really cool.
By far. Yes. Ridiculous.
So,
I know.
We're getting close to the end of the time. So, if anyone in the chat doesn't already follow you on social media or anywhere else, can you please tell people where to find you after this chat ends?
Oh, yeah. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, I am at Ithayla. That's ITHAYLA. I love talking to people on Twitter. I love talking board games on Twitter. So if you just tweet at me, you'll find me, and I will happily talk to you, unless you are a jerk, which I'm sure none of you are.
Honestly, we've got a pretty good crowd here in the chat. I've loved all of the questions that you all have submitted. I apologize if I missed any questions early in the stream. I'm using a different way to look at the chat than I usually do, and it's not ideal, which it's funny because I was telling this to Calvin before we started streaming. When Tom and the others in Florida do this daily chat, they are all on Macs, and they use a program that is Mac only. I didn't have a PC, so I can't use the same program they do, which is why I can't bring the messages up onto the screen or anything like that. And I'm kind of I'm using OBS, but my OBS, even though I've installed plugins, will not pull in Skype windows natively because I don't know what. So I'm literally capturing my screen to bring Calvin onto the stream with me, which is kind of an unprofessional way to do it. But hey, you know what? It works. So.
Yeah, but it was lovely to come and hang out for just, to just chill and chat for an hour. These are difficult, very difficult times that we're living in right now, and it was nice to just, as much as we need to stay plugged in and aware and educated of all the stuff that's going on now, especially in the United States, which is kind of like a proxy for the rest of the world. It's sometimes nice to be able to just, step back and just for a little while talk about stuff that is not that.
Absolutely. And
just for a short time.
Yeah.
And then we go right back to it, right?
Right, exactly. And that's kind of what I've been doing. Like, we did karaoke last night, and then today I donated to an organization that is helping bail out people here in Las Vegas. So I do think it is important for people to stay aware of current events and to help where they can. But yes, I very much appreciate everyone who has joined us this evening for this daily chat here on the Dice Tower. There will be another daily chat tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. I do not know who your host is tomorrow evening, so I can't tell you who that is, but I'm sure it's probably already scheduled up on the channel. So you can head over to the Dice Tower's main channel to look for that. Calvin, thank you so much for joining me this evening. This has been an absolute delight.
Yeah. Oh, I do want to say one last thing.
Yes, please.
Which is something that I've been struggling with, which is like, in times like this, how do you, feel okay about unplugging and playing a video game, or just like, having fun with your friends, and how do you not feel guilty about being able to do that when so many people can't? And the advice that I have for everyone, which was the one that helped me, which is you must put on your own mask before helping others. So you have to be able to take care of yourself and make sure that your cup is full, right, before you can help fill other people.
I love that sentiment, and I agree wholeheartedly. Like, we do need to look out for others when we can, but we also need to take care of ourselves. So to everyone in the chat, I hope that you are staying safe, staying healthy, and I hope that I will get to see you all again soon. But until then, goodbye from me and Calvin.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. I'm gonna